In this speech, I'm going to talk about a problem that I see pretty frequently in my line of work as an EMT. It's a problem that's difficult to watch because it's something that seems tedious, like it would be easy to fix, like we could find solutions, yet it continues to become more of a problem every day. My objective with this speech is to raise awareness on this topic, this large cause of injury and death that we see in our country, as well as to equip people with tools to prevent themselves from contributing to this problem. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, or NHTSA for short, estimates that every day 660,000 drivers use electronic devices behind the wheel. Well, this is an astounding amount of use, and they have further statistics showing that in the year of 2015, because of that large amount of use, 3,477 people were killed and 391,000 people were injured in motor vehicle accidents involving distracted drivers. Now, we use that term distracted drivers, which includes a few other things besides electronics, but primarily is about electronics, and we'll talk about that a little more. But in the following year, they were able to break those numbers down even further and show that 263 teens between the ages of 15 and 19 were killed as a result of distracted driving. The National Safety Council reports that cell phone use while driving leads to 1.6 million crashes each year. 1 out of every 4 car accidents in the United States is reportedly caused by texting and driving. That's 25% of accidents, texting and driving. Texting while driving, this is a controversial stat, is 6 times more likely to cause an accident than driving drunk, which is something that we focus so much attention on and look down on those who do. Statistics show that answering a text takes away your attention for about 5 seconds while driving. In that 5 seconds, if you're driving at 55 miles per hour, you cover the length of a football field. So in that time you take to read a text, that you take your attention away from the road, you cover the distance of a football field. And a lot of things can happen in that short amount of time when you're traveling that distance that fast. And of all cell phone related tasks, it's shown that texting is by far the most dangerous activity because of something called a trifecta of driving distractions. This trifecta has 3 parts. It has a visual component, which involves when somebody takes their eyes off the road, a manual component, which means you're taking your hands off the steering wheel, as well as a cognitive component, which means that you are taking attention away from just being solely focused on driving. Because texting involves all 3 of those things, you have to both take a hand off the wheel, you have to look away from the road, and you have to divert your attention. You're doing all 3 of those things in the trifecta, making it extremely dangerous versus just maybe talking on the phone. You could use a headset, and the only thing you're doing is taking your cognitive focus away from that, because visually you can still be looking and you can still have 2 hands on the wheel. So they show that texting is exceedingly dangerous. A study was done in 2015, and 42% of high school students who drove in the last 30 days actually admitted to sending a text or an email while driving. These same students who reported frequent texting while driving said that they were less likely to wear a seatbelt, that they were more likely to ride with a driver who has been drinking, and that they are more likely to drive drunk. We see just the catastrophic effects that texting and driving have, and then also this shows almost a snowball effect into what other things people will do once they get comfortable with texting and driving. Now, my response to these people is just don't be selfish. Every time you choose to text and drive, you put someone else's child, brother, sister, spouse, parent, best friend at risk. When you choose to text and drive, you're threatening every single driver that's around you that's on the road. And what you're really doing is saying that text message is more important than somebody else's life. That text message is more important than other lives. And a real question or challenge would be, is that text message really worth sending? Is it that important? And I know people might say, I'm good at multitasking. I can actually text and drive. I can focus on 2 things. Well, you can't. A lot of people will say that, but research has shown that multitasking is still a myth. And they have data to prove it. It's essentially known and proven that humans, though they say they can multitask, don't do lots of things simultaneously. Well, actually, they can't. Our minds focus on one thing at a time, and so although we think we're doing two, it's really that we're switching back and forth quickly, but not focusing on two things at once, thus making this texting and driving incredibly dangerous, and goes to prove you can't focus on both at once, and that's why people get careless and lives are lost. Now, I don't want to walk away with this from this without any solutions, without any ideas of how we fix the problem. So I'll give you a few. One of the things is just to give clear instructions, both to current drivers and drivers that are learning. Give new drivers clear instructions not to use their phones, not to use their electronics while they drive. This is easy to educate before people get their licenses, to really enforce so that once they do, they're not in that bad habit. For those that do, just education, just telling them how dangerous this can be, showing them statistics about the dangers of texting and driving, of using electronics while driving. The next thing is just to lead by example. If, we are, let's say I'm a parent and I'm texting and driving, or I'm a best friend and I'm texting and driving, and they see that, they're going to get desensitized to it, and that's something that they're going to be more likely to do. Your brother, your sister, anyone sees you doing that. So lead by example. Be the one not to do that. Be the one to focus solely on the road. Last, become informed and be active. Like I said, education is huge. If we can raise awareness against this problem, if we can let people know how severe a problem this is, how dangerous it is, how many lives this has taken, or how many people have been injured because of this, and we can teach that and we can spread that, we may see a decrease in these things. So in conclusion, in my video, I just want people to walk away being able to have tools to fight these things, to be able to tell other people about them. But really, I hope that this speech allows you, the next time you're driving and you reach for your phone, to ask yourself, is what I'm doing this important? Is what I'm doing as important as somebody else's life, whether it be your own, a friend that you have in the car, or somebody else? I hope that the next time you reach for your phone, you consider these things. You consider other life above that instant gratification or that response to a text. Pull over and read that text, or take that phone call, or do what you need to do. Protect lives and be aware of that. I hope that makes a difference, that this video makes a difference, even for just our small group. I won't sit in front of you and say that I'm perfect and I've never texted and driving. Texted while driving, I'll say that I have done it. I've made that decision multiple times, but it's something that I continue to try to fight to stop, and something I want to raise awareness for because I've seen the devastating results.